As you settle into the quiet of this moment, let your mind drift to a sunlit courtyard in Athens, around 400 BCE, where the air carries the scent of olive oil, warm clay, and the faint strum of a lyre. In ancient civilizations, Greece, Rome, Egypt, same-sex couples lived lives woven into the fabric of their societies, their love often celebrated, regulated, or concealed by custom and class. These were ordinary people, poets, soldiers, artisans whose bonds were shaped by the rhythms of their world, from bustling agora to quiet villas. This is not a tale of secrecy or rebellion, but of human connection, etched in poetry, art, and whispers. There's no rush here, no need to cling to every detail. Let the soft glow of a terracotta lamp, the murmur of a marketplace, and the gentle rustle of a linen tunic lull you like the sway of reeds by a riverbank. Close your eyes, if you wish, and let this journey into the hidden lives of same-sex couples carry you toward rest. We'll explore 10 facets of this world, each a window into the lives of those who loved beyond convention, from the daily routines that frame their days to the moments of intimacy that define them. From the symposia of Athens to the bathhouses of Rome, we'll move slowly, savoring the textures and sounds of a world both vibrant and complex. The air is heavy with the scent of myrrh and wine, the city alive with the clink of cups and the chant of rituals. Their lives were a dance of acceptance, and caution. Love was a gift, but often a guarded one, yet there were also moments of joy, loyalty, and quiet resilience. Let's begin by stepping into an ancient city where same-sex love was both seen and unseen, wrapped in the rhythm of a world both open and restrained. Segment 1. Daily Life Immersion. Living as a same-sex couple. Imagine standing in a bustling Athenian street in 400 BCE, where the air is warm with the scent of fresh bread, dust, and the faint clatter of a potter's wheel. You're part of a same-sex couple, perhaps a citizen and a younger companion living in a world where your bond is shaped by custom, class, and care. The city hums with the chatter of traders, the creak of carts, and the distant chant of a temple hymn, but your day is a balance of public duties and private moments. A single day reveals the rhythm of this life, its pace steady but nuanced. Let's wander through your routine, letting the sounds of the city, the clink of coins, the swish of cloaks, the murmur of conversation settle over you like a woven shawl, guiding you toward calm. Your day begins at dawn, roused by the crow of a rooster, the air cool with the chill of marble floors and the scent of olive oil. You sleep on a wooden couch in a shared room, under a wool blanket, the air heavy with the rustle of linen and the warmth of shared breath. You dress in a chiton of fine wool, its folds light, the air filled with the creak of a sandal and the weight of decorum. Breakfast is simple, barley bread with figs, its sweet tang mingling with the smoke of a brazier, the air warm with the effort of chewing. As a citizen, you attend the agora or gymnasium, your voice steady in debate, the air filled with the shout of youths or the scent of sweat. Your bond is known, your companion joins you, the air tense with the weight of etiquette and the murmur of peers. If you're the younger partner, you train or study poetry, your stylus scratching, the air heavy with the scent of wax and the hope of wisdom. Your role is to learn, your love guided, the air warm with the clink of cups and the weight of loyalty. The community is both a stage and a judge. Friends share wine, but eyes watch closely, the air warm with the murmur of gossip and the scent of myrrh. Love is accepted, yet bound by rules. A public embrace risks talk, the air heavy with the fear of scorn and the hope of respect. Temples offer blessings, their altars smoky, the air tense with the chant of priests and the weight of divine favor. As night falls, you rest on your couch, the air quiet save for the flicker of a lamp and the distant hum of a lyre, your body weary from the day's dance. As this world settles, let's shift to the life of one couple whose story reflects the bonds of their time. Segment 2. Biography. The life of Harmodius and Aristogeiton. Let your thoughts drift to a lamplit andron in Athens in 514 BCE, where the air is warm with the scent of wine, wax, and the faint rustle of wool cloaks. Here we meet Harmodius and Aristogeiton, a same-sex couple whose love and loyalty became legend. Imagine standing beside them, the glow of a terracotta lamp casting shadows on painted walls, the weight of a chiton on their shoulders, the soft murmur of a friend's toast. Their story is one of devotion and defiance, their days a balance of affection and ambition. Let's follow their journey, letting the rhythm of their life, the clink of cups, the scent of olives, the strum of a lyre lull you like a gentle stream, guiding you toward rest. Harmodius was born around 530 BCE to a noble Athenian family, the air heavy with the smell of olive groves and the clatter of looms. Aristogeiton, older, was a citizen of modest means, the air filled with the bustle of the agora and the scent of leather. They met at a gymnasium, their bond formed in youth, the air thick with the shout of wrestlers and the weight of mentorship. Histories like those of Thucydides describe their love, the air tense with the weight of custom and the hope of honor. A poet's verse taught them loyalty, the air warm with the strum of strings and the scent of myrrh. Their days were spent in public life. Harmodius trained, Aristogeiton debated, the air filled with the clash of spears or the drone of orators. They shared meals in symposia, their laughter blending, the air heavy with the scent of wine and the weight of trust. Intimacy was private moments in a quiet courtyard, the air warm with the rustle of cloaks and the scent of oil. Love was a vow, their bond a shield, the air heavy with the clink of cups and the hope of eternity. Hardship was constant. A tyrant's kin, Hipparchus, sought Harmodius, the air tense with the weight of jealousy and the fear of power. They planned his fall, the air heavy with the murmur of plots and the scent of wax. Gossip could harm. A rival's whisper risked shame, the air tense with the scrutiny of peers. Yet there were moments of light. They found solace in friends, their laughter shared over figs, the air warm with the scent of fruit and camaraderie. Festivals like the Panathenea brought processions, the air alive with the chant of hymns and the smell of incense. In 514 BCE, they struck at tyranny, their act costing their lives, the air heavy with the scent of blood and the weight of sacrifice. Their love was immortalized, their statues raised, the air thick with the murmur of praise and the hope of legacy. As their story fades, let's shift to the traces of this world, uncovered by those who seek its past. Segment 3. Mystery, Archaeology, Culture, Uncovering Same-Sex Lives. Imagine standing amid the ruins of a Roman villa, its mosaics faded, where archaeologists uncover the traces of a society that both embraced and hid same-sex love. The year is now, but your mind lingers in 100 CE, where the air was thick with wine, oil, and the quiet weight of affection. Couples like Harmodius and Aristogeiton left fragments of their lives' vase paintings, inscriptions, bronze lamps that reveal their bonds. Archaeology and texts are a window into their world, showing a culture of love and restraint. Let's explore these traces, letting their stories settle like dust in a quiet atrium, their whispers guiding you toward rest. Excavations reveal a world of connection. A Greek vase found in an Athenian tomb shows two men embracing its paint-worn, the air once heavy with the clink of cups and the scent of clay. A Roman graffito, scratched in Pompeii, names lovers, the air once filled with the scrape of a stylus and the scent of plaster. Bronze lamps found in villas mark intimate nights, the air once warm with the flicker of flame and the smell of oil. These finds are fragile, their survival a testament to love's quiet presence, the air thick with the past. The culture was one of balance, shaped by custom. Greek texts, like Plato's Symposium, praise same-sex bonds, the air heavy with the drone of philosophers, and the scent of papyrus. Love was regulated, age or class set boundaries, the air tense with the weight of etiquette and the murmur of peers. Roman satires like Juvenal's mock excess, the air heavy with the clink of coins and the hope of decorum. Egyptian inscriptions hint at devotion, the air filled with the chant of priests and the weight of divine favor. Archaeology uncovers daily life. In Greek gymnasia, oil flasks mark training, the air heavy with the scent of olive and the effort of wrestling. In Roman bathhouses, mosaic lovers hint at meetings, the air filled with the splash of water and the scent of steam. Mysteries linger in these finds. Why were some vases buried, perhaps as vows? A faded papyrus found in Egypt holds a love poem, its words faint, the air thick with secrecy. Couples' lives are elusive, marked by cups or lamps, the air filled with the echo of their laughter. The community shaped this world, friends sharing wine or hymns, the air warm with the murmur of symposia. Elders judged lapses, their voices stern, the air heavy with the scent of myrrh and the weight of custom. These traces, uncovered by careful hands, weave a picture of a society bound by love, yet human in its struggles, the air thick with the scent of effort and devotion. As we leave this world of artifacts, let's shift to the lives of the elite, whose bonds shaped cultural ideals. Segment 4. Social elite contrasting daily life. The world of the ancient elite. Picture yourself in a Roman triclinium, its couches draped, the air warm with the scent of roses, wine and the faint clink of silver cups. The year is 100 CE, and this is the world of the elite senators, poets, pharaohs whose same-sex bonds were shaped by the same customs as ordinary couples, but marked by privilege. The villa hums with the strum of a harp and the murmur of a toast, but their love carried greater scrutiny. Let's explore their world, letting the rhythm of their days, the flicker of lamps, the rustle of silk settle over you like a silken veil, guiding you toward calm. The elite, like the poet Catullus, lived in splendor, their homes adorned with frescoes, the air heavy with the scent of myrrh and the glow of bronze lamps. They rose late, dressed by slaves in fine togas, the air soft with the rustle of linen and the clink of pins. Breakfast was rich, honeyed bread with wine served on silver, the air fragrant with sweetness and the murmur of prayers. Their day was spent in courts or symposia, the air filled with the drone of orators or the scent of oil. Elite women, like Sappho, led poetic circles, their voices firm, the air heavy with the scent of roses and authority. Love was strategic. Catullus wrote of his lover, his verses public, the air tense with the scratch of a stylus and the weight of fame. Bonds were visible, fidelity fluid, the air heavy with the murmur of scribes and the scent of wax. Sappho's love was sung, her honor public, the air tense with the scrutiny of peers and the hope of legacy. Texts note lapses, jealousy, or scandal, the air heavy with the scent of gossip and the fear of disgrace. The contrast with ordinary lives is stark. Where a potter slept on a couch, the elite rested on cushions, the air warm with silk and lamplight. Where a soldier ate barley, they dined on peacock, the air rich with spices and wine. Yet all faced the same God's offerings bound both, the air heavy with the scent of incense and the fear of divine wrath. The divine watched all, their temples smoky, the air tense with the chant of priests and the weight of favor. Ordinary citizens sustained this elite world, their labor invisible. They fired clay or pressed olives, their hands calloused, the air heavy with the clink of tools or the scent of oil. Their meals were simple bread, lentils eaten by the hearth, the air smoky from a shared lamp. These workers were the city's pulse, their toil enabling its grandeur, the air filled with the rhythm of their tasks. The elite's world was one of power but also exposure. Their bonds were public, their honor fragile, the air thick with the weight of fame and love. As we leave this world of wine and roses, let's shift to the tools and technologies that shaped their lives, the objects that defined their bonds. Segment 5. Technology and Tools, the Craft of Ancient Life. Imagine standing by a Greek andron the year 400 BCE, where the air is thick with the scent of olive oil, wax, and the faint glow of a terracotta lamp. Couples relied on tools, stili, oil flasks, wine cups that shaped their daily lives and expressions of love. For ordinary pairs, these were simple, tied to survival, while the elite used finer versions for status. Let's explore this world of craft, letting the rhythm of scratching stili, clinking cups, and the steady drip of oil settle over you like the hum of a quiet symposium, guiding you toward rest. Household tools were central, their forms practical. Reed Stili wrote love poems, the air filled with the scratch of nibs and the scent of wax. A lover penned verses, their hands steady, the air heavy with the effort of writing and the smell of papyrus. The elite used silver stili, their letters ornate, the air soft with their shine and the scent of myrrh. Terracotta lamps lit dinners, their oil flickering, the air heavy with the smell of grease and the effort of tending flames. Personal tools were vital. Oil flasks anointed bodies, the air filled with the splash of liquid and the scent of olive. A partner oiled their lover, their fingers gentle, the air tense with the weight of care and the murmur of laughter. The elite used glass vials, the air heavy with the clink of crystal and the scent of rose. Wine cups shared toasts, their clay warm, the air heavy with the clink of pottery and the scent of grapes. Work tools shaped bonds. Bronze mirrors reflected grooming, the air filled with the gleam of metal and the scent of oil. A lover combed their hair, the air heavy with the effort of beauty and the hope of affection. These tools brought risks. A cracked cup could spill wine, a dull stylus could mar a poem, the air tense with the effort of repair. Maintenance was constant polishing mirrors, refilling lamps, sharpening stili, and a broken tool could disrupt harmony, the air heavy with worry. These tools were the city's framework, each one a testament to the effort to sustain love, the air thick with the scent of labor and care. As we leave this world of tools, let's shift to the customs and traditions that gave meaning to their lives, binding couples to their gods and community. Segment 6. Customs and Traditions, the Rituals of Ancient Love. Picture yourself seated by a temple altar, the year 400 BCE, where the air is warm with the scent of incense, the faint tang of wine, and the soft murmur of voices chanting a hymn. For couples like Harmodius and Aristogeiton, life was shaped by customs and traditions, rituals that celebrated or guarded their love. These practices were a lifeline, offering order in a world of hierarchy. Imagine the flicker of a lamp, the rustle of cloaks, and the drone of a prayer, their rhythm soothing like a familiar song. Let's wander through these rituals, letting their cadence wrap around you, guiding you toward rest. Religious rituals were central, their forms sacred. Couples offered wine to Aphrodite, the air warm with the splash of liquid and the chant of priests. Vows of loyalty were sworn in groves, the air heavy with the drone of blessings and the scent of myrrh. Festivals like the Dionysia honored love, the air tense with the beat of drums and the weight of devotion. Symposia sealed bonds, the air filled with the clink of cups and the weight of toasts. Public visibility has also shifted profoundly. In countries where LGBTQ+ rights are recognized, same-sex couples can attend events, hold hands in the street, and even build public careers together. In antiquity, certain forms of public companionship were possible, but they were tightly bound to context. In Athens, a man might walk with his younger partner in the gymnasium, or be seen together at a symposium, but too much physical affection in a public forum could provoke gossip or damage reputations. In Rome, elite men could take male lovers openly so long as they maintained the appearance of fulfilling civic and familial duties, while being the receptive partner in a male-male union could bring ridicule if it suggested a loss of social dominance. Modern couples in freer societies may measure public comfort in terms of safety from harassment. Ancient couples measured it in terms of status, decorum, and the invisible line between accepted companionship and socially damaging scandal. The shared challenge across time is the careful reading of one's environment, knowing when to display closeness, when to withhold, and when the audience is safe enough to receive the truth of a relationship. The concept of coming out is itself a modern idea rooted in personal identity politics. In the ancient world, there was no equivalent. A person did not declare themselves in a political or social sense as gay or lesbian, because those categories did not exist in the way they do now. Instead, relationships were part of a broader spectrum of accepted and non-accepted behaviors, each judged in the context of age, gender roles, and citizenship. Modern activists fight for visibility and recognition of identity. Ancient couples fought for acceptance of their behavior and the preservation of honor. In this sense, ancient love was deeply entangled with the perception of role fulfillment. A Roman senator could be known to love men and still wield power, provided he married, produced heirs, and was not perceived as yielding socially. The tension between personal truth and public expectation is familiar today. Though the frameworks have changed, modern couples in conservative regions may still employ coded language, selective disclosure, or discrete social circles, much like their ancient counterparts, navigated the watchful eyes of neighbors, patrons, and political rivals. Marriage and family structures present another major point of contrast. Today, in many places, same-sex couples can legally marry, adopt children, or use surrogacy to build families, with their relationships protected by law. In the ancient world, such formal recognition was rare and usually symbolic. There were ceremonies and vows between same-sex partners, sometimes religious in nature, but they had no legal standing in terms of inheritance, legitimacy, or citizenship rights. Family continuity and antiquity depended on bloodlines and legal heirs, so even committed same-sex partners often entered opposite-sex marriages to fulfill civic and familial obligations. Modern couples can often integrate love and legality. Ancient couples had to navigate parallel lives, balancing political necessity with private devotion. Yet here, too, there is a shared thread. Many modern couples in places without marriage equality live in arrangements that mirror the workaround strategies of antiquity, using wills, shared property, and trusted networks to protect one another in the absence of legal support. Religious and spiritual frameworks form another axis of comparison. In our time, certain faith traditions fully embrace same-sex unions, ordain LGBTQ+ clergy, and perform marriage rites, while others oppose such relationships on theological grounds. In antiquity, the gods were not universally moral arbiters in the way modern monotheistic traditions often frame them. Greek deities like Zeus, Apollo, and Aphrodite themselves engaged in same-sex relationships in myth, providing a form of divine precedent. Temples could be places where couples sought blessings, though religious life also reinforced social rules about who could be with whom. Egyptian inscriptions could celebrate deep same-sex bonds, while Roman state religion largely ignored personal intimacy in favor of public duty. The difference lies not in whether faith influenced love, it always has, but in how it did so. Modern religion often frames sexuality as a matter of sin or blessing, whereas ancient religion tied it to ritual propriety, civic order, and the favor of the gods. Class remains a subtle but powerful divider across time. Today, wealth can shield couples from certain forms of discrimination, enabling access to more tolerant communities, legal resources, and safe spaces. In antiquity, class could determine whether a same-sex relationship was celebrated, tolerated, or condemned. Elite Greeks and Romans could afford privacy, travel, and fine gifts that both expressed and concealed their love. Their relationships might be immortalized in poetry, frescoes, or statuary. Poorer couples, however, lived in closer quarters, worked publicly, and were more vulnerable to gossip or punishment for stepping outside accepted roles. The way class intersects with love has changed. Today, activism and legal protections can lessen the disparity, but the reality that wealth and status can make love safer is as true now as it was 2,000 years ago. The treatment of female same-sex relationships is another point of both change and continuity. In modern discourse, lesbian relationships are recognized as distinct and have their own histories, struggles, and cultural milestones. In antiquity, female-female bonds were often less documented, both because women's lives in general were less recorded, and because such relationships were less publicly acknowledged. Sappho's poetry from Lesbos is one of the most famous exceptions, celebrated for its direct expression of female desire for other women. Today, women-loving women can find representation across literature, film, and law. But in many cultures, they still face invisibility, fetishization, or erasure, a phenomenon not far removed from the under-recording of women's intimacy in the ancient record. The continuity here lies in the way power structures determine which loves are preserved in history and which are quietly forgotten. Technology is perhaps the starkest difference. Modern couples can document their relationships in thousands of photographs, store messages for decades, and keep digital archives of their love that are almost impossible to lose. Ancient couples relied on fragile mediums, ink on papyrus, paint on clay, words in the memory of a friend, any of which could vanish with time, fire, or conquest. Our era's permanence is double-edged. It offers preservation but also exposure, as couples risk online harassment or surveillance in hostile regions. Ancient couples, by contrast, relied on ephemerality as a form of protection. A whispered vow in a garden could be cherished and safe precisely because it left no trace. Today's couples may worry about privacy in the digital realm. Ancient couples worried about survival in the physical one. Perhaps the deepest commonality between then and now is the emotional landscape of love itself. In reading ancient poems, studying carved inscriptions, or holding artifacts like shared cups or oil lamps, we sense the same yearning, joy, jealousy, and devotion that fill modern relationships. Ancient lovers wrote verses about longing when apart, exchanged tokens to remember each other, and found ways to carve out moments of connection despite societal constraints. Modern lovers may plan vacations, share streaming playlists, or post photographs together online, but the emotional core is identical. Across millennia, the need to be seen, understood, and cherished by another person has not changed. The differences lie in the scaffolding around that core, the laws, technologies, and cultural norms that dictate how love is expressed, seen, and remembered. In the end, the comparison between ancient and modern same-sex relationships is both humbling and illuminating. We have gained freedoms they could not imagine, legal recognition, the ability to define relationships on our own terms, and in some places, the safety to live without fear. Yet we also face modern pressures they never knew, the politics of identity, the exposure of the digital age, and the often relentless demand to define ourselves publicly. Their loves, often lived in the half-light of custom and discretion, remind us that intimacy is as much about the quiet, private world two people create as it is about public declarations. In that sense, the couples of Athens, Rome, and Egypt would recognize us, not by the clothes we wear, the laws we live under, or the technologies we use, but by the familiar ways our hands find each other in a crowd, our voices soften in private, and our hearts navigate the unchanging human need for connection. In our own time, the legal frameworks surrounding same-sex relationships vary so widely that one can cross an international border and move from complete acceptance to outright criminalization. This global inconsistency mirrors, in an unexpected way, the patchwork of attitudes found across ancient civilizations. In Athens, certain forms of same-sex love were celebrated as part of civic life, yet in Sparta, the emphasis fell more on military bonding than public affection. In Rome, elite men could openly maintain male lovers, but the same freedom did not extend equally to all classes or roles. In Egypt, inscriptions reveal deep devotion between men or between women, Yet we cannot always know whether these were viewed as romantic in the way we might understand it. Today, LGBTQ+ people can travel to a pride parade in one city and risk arrest for the same expression in another, a dynamic that would not surprise an ancient lover accustomed to adjusting behavior to suit the political and cultural climate of each polis, province, or kingdom. Modern same-sex couples often build networks of support through chosen families, circles of friends, allies, and mentors who provide emotional and practical help when biological relatives may not accept them. Ancient couples also depended on networks, though theirs were often interwoven with economic or political alliances. An elite Athenian man might bring his younger partner into the company of fellow citizens who shared his views, shielding him from criticism. A Roman patron might protect his lover through legal favors or by integrating him into his household as a client. In both cases, survival and comfort depended on the people who stood beside you when the wider society was not fully safe. The difference is that in the modern world, chosen families can span continents, connected instantly through digital means, while in antiquity they were rooted in the neighborhoods, marketplaces, and temples that formed the intimate geography of daily life. We often think of ancient life as rigid and static, but relationships were adaptable in ways that feel surprisingly modern. Just as contemporary couples negotiate open relationships, blended households, or long-distance arrangements, ancient couples adapted to the constraints of war, travel, and civic duty. A lover in Athens might spend months away on campaign and return to a partner who had been living in the household of another patron. In modern terms, this would resemble the delicate negotiations of long-distance couples, military families, or partners managing separate careers in different cities. The human challenges are the same: maintaining trust, managing absence, and preserving intimacy, though the tools have changed from hand-carried letters and whispered promises to encrypted messages and late-night video calls. Another striking parallel is the role of art as both expression and preservation of love. Today, couples might commission photographs, share portraits, or even post their milestones on social media feeds. In antiquity, lovers commissioned pottery showing shared moments, carved dedications into marble, or paid poets to immortalize their names in verse. In our digital era, these artifacts can be replicated endlessly, backed up to clouds and shared globally in seconds. Ancient artifacts, by contrast, were singular. A cup, a fresco, or a carved gem could carry decades of meaning, but could also vanish in a fire, be buried in an earthquake, or be lost to the decay of time. Yet both then and now, love seeks permanence in art, even knowing that permanence is an illusion. The choice to record affection in any form, whether on Instagram or in a hymn to Apollo, is an act of hope. The challenges of reputation management in public life also have echoes across the centuries. Today, public figures who are in same-sex relationships navigate the demands of media narratives, brand partnerships, and the gaze of millions of online spectators. An ancient politician or poet navigated a smaller but equally potent sphere: the scrutiny of the agora, the satire of playwrights, and the judgment of patrons. In both cases, a misstep could be magnified and retold, shaping public perception for years. The ancients did not have paparazzi or tabloid headlines, but they had gossip, theatrical mockery, and politically motivated rumors, tools every bit as damaging within their own context. The balance between living authentically and protecting one's social position was, and remains, a delicate one. For women, the differences between past and present are both sobering and instructive. Modern women in same-sex relationships in societies with strong legal protections can openly cohabit, raise children, and publicly celebrate their unions. Ancient women-loving women had fewer public avenues, both because women's roles were constrained and because their relationships were often invisible to the male-dominated record. The rare surviving voices, such as Sappho's, give us glimpses of an emotional landscape as vivid as any today, but most of these bonds left no trace in official records. Today's visibility, though imperfect, is the result of centuries of struggle. In ancient times, the privacy forced upon women could be both a shield and a silence, hiding them from condemnation but also from historical memory. Economic independence plays a profound role in shaping same-sex relationships now and then. In the modern era, two-income households can make couples more mobile, allowing them to choose where they live and which communities they join. In ancient cities, economic dependence often defined the balance of power in a relationship. A younger lover might rely on his partner for food, lodging, and clothing, creating a dynamic not unlike that of modern relationships, where one partner sponsors the other's immigration or education. Wealth could grant autonomy. An elite Roman man or woman could maintain a companion discreetly, but poverty made discretion harder, as every movement and interaction was visible to the neighbors. The essential truth that love is easier to sustain when basic needs are met has not changed in thousands of years. In the realm of law, the shift from ancient to modern is dramatic. Many contemporary societies now recognize the rights of same-sex couples to marry, inherit, and raise children together. Ancient legal systems, by contrast, offered no such protections. A partner could not automatically inherit property unless named in a will, and wills could be challenged by blood relatives. If a partner fell ill, there was no legal guarantee of access to their bedside or the right to make medical decisions, an issue that sadly still echoes in modern places without full legal equality. In both eras, couples have crafted workarounds. In antiquity, through patronage, property transfers, and adoption. Today, through legal contracts, medical proxies, and advocacy. These creative solutions are reminders that where laws lag behind love, people find ways to bridge the gap. Even leisure activities offer points of connection. In our time, couples might attend concerts, travel for vacations, or spend evenings watching films together. Ancient couples had their own diversions, attending plays at festivals, joining processions for the gods, or reclining at symposia to share wine and stories. In both cases, shared leisure was a way of reinforcing the bond, creating memories, and stepping outside the routine of work and duty. The scale and setting differ. A modern couple might watch fireworks from a city rooftop, while an ancient couple might watch the torchlit races at the Panathenaic Games. But the feeling of standing side by side, eyes fixed on the same spectacle, remains unchanged. Health and mortality are another point of deep contrast. Modern medicine allows many couples to enjoy long lifespans together, survive illnesses, and plan decades of shared life. In antiquity, disease, war, and accident could end a relationship abruptly, often without warning. The fragility of life may have lent ancient relationships an intensity born of uncertainty. The knowledge that each shared meal or night together could be the last might make every gesture more deliberate, every word more weighted. Today's couples may have the luxury of time, but can sometimes forget the urgency of cherishing the present. Ancient lovers living under the constant shadow of loss likely understood that urgency instinctively. Finally, the legacy of relationships across time speaks to a universal human desire to be remembered. Modern couples can leave behind photographs, videos, legal documents, and digital footprints that may endure for generations. Ancient couples relied on the endurance of stone, pottery, and oral tradition. Some succeeded. The names of Harmodius and Aristogeiton, of Sappho's muses, of emperors and their beloveds still echo in our histories. Most, however, were lost, their love carried away with the dust of centuries. In both cases, remembrance is never guaranteed, and yet people still try, because to remember a love is to affirm that it mattered. Whether in a carved epitaph or a saved text message, the instinct is the same: to hold on to a fragment of what was shared, and to hope it survives beyond the life that lived it. When we look at these parallels, the comparison becomes less about the gulf of time and more about the persistence of human need. The forms, languages, and customs have evolved, but the emotional architecture of same-sex love remains strikingly familiar. Ancient couples, navigating rules they did not write, finding joy in private spaces, creating symbols of their bond, creating and holding each other in defiance of uncertainty, would recognize much in the lives of modern couples. And perhaps the greatest comfort in this comparison is the reminder that love, in all its varied forms, is not an invention of any one age. It is an inheritance passed from hand to hand, heart to heart, across the entire sweep of history. Daily rituals were practical. Couples anointed their skin with oil each morning, a nod to beauty, the air heavy with the scent of olive and the effort of grooming. Men wore specific cloaks, wool for citizens, linen for elites, to signal status, the air filled with the rustle of fabric and the scent of dye. Superstitions guided actions. A charm warded off envy, the air heavy with the clink of bronze and the hope of protection. The gods' favor was sought through perfect conduct, the air tense with the weight of scrutiny and the murmur of oracles. Storytelling was cherished, done by lamplight. Tales of heroic lovers or divine unions filled the air, their cadence soothing as couples listened, their hands resting from work. The air carried the scent of wine and wax, the stories of bond between friends, teaching loyalty or sparking reflection. Festivals offered relief. The Panathenea brought processions, the air alive with the chant of hymns and the smell of oil. Couples joined the crowd, their cloaks heavy, the air warm with the laughter of kin and the scent of incense. The community enforced these customs, friends watching each other, the air warm with the murmur of symposia. Priests dictated rituals, their voices stern, the air heavy with the scent of myrrh and the weight of divine law. These rituals wove couples into their world, the air filled with the rhythm of shared devotion. As we leave this world of tradition, let's shift to the food and sustenance that nourish these lives, sustaining them through their bonded days. Segment 7. Food and Sustenance. The Ancient Table. Imagine sitting at a low table in a Roman villa, the year 100 CE, where the air is warm with the savory scent of barley stew, the faint smoke of a brazier, and the soft murmur of a toast. Food was a necessity, often shared, fueling the tasks of love and labor. For couples, meals were modest or lavish, shaped by class and season, yet they were a pause in a life of duty. Picture the flicker of a lamp, the clink of terracotta cups, and the soft drone of a blessing, their warmth wrapping around you like a linen cloth. Let's explore the tastes, textures, and smells of their table, letting these details settle gently in your mind, guiding you toward rest. Barley was a staple, its grains soft and boiled into porridge. Couples ate it with olives, their salty tang sharp, the air warm with the scent of oil and the clink of bowls. Braziers produced flatbreads, the air heavy with the smell of char and the effort of kneading. On festival days, fish or lamb was served, the air rich with grease or the savory aroma of herbs, a treat that softened the meal's plainness. Offerings to gods, wine or bread, were left at altars, the air warm with their scent and the weight of piety. Stews made from lentils or leeks were a daily dish, cooked over a fire. A partner stirred in garlic or thyme, the air heavy with the earthy scent of broth and the steam that warmed their face. Fish, often from rivers, added flavor, its smoky taste sharp, the air filled with the smell of oil. Meat was rare pork for elites, broth for citizens, the air heavy with the aroma of fat and the murmur of prayers. The elite dined on dormice or figs, the air rich with sweetness and the clink of silver. Vegetables were common, their availability tied to gardens. Leeks or beans were staples, their earthy taste a contrast to barley. Herbs like mint, grown in pots, added sharpness, their aroma cutting through the stew's richness. Fruit was a luxury, grapes or pomegranates, its sweetness rare, the air soft with their juicy scent. Couples shared a fig, the air warm with the joy of a treat and the murmur of thanks. Wine was the drink of choice, its warmth soothing, the air filled with the clink of cups and the scent of grapes. Water, drawn from fountains, was served in clay, the air damp with its purity and the faint taste of stone. Meals were a communal act. Couples gathered in andirons, their fingers scooping bread, the air warm with the glow of lamps and the murmur of talk gossip about rivals, the day's duties or tales of gods. The act of eating was a pause, a moment of connection in a life of love, the air filled with the comfort of togetherness. As we leave the table, let's shift to the challenges and dangers that shape their lives, from the perils of scandal to the threats of war. Segment 8. Challenges and Dangers, the Perils of Ancient Life. Imagine walking a Roman street at dusk, the year 100 CE, where the air is cool, the lamps flickering, and the distant clang of a temple bell echoes through the stones. For couples, life was a negotiation with danger, scandal, war, and societal scrutiny were ever present, their impact felt in the quiet moments of fear and doubt. Picture the flicker of a lamp, the weight of a charm in trembling hands, and the tense silence of a prayer for favor, their rhythm a steady pulse in a world of uncertainty. Let's explore these perils, letting their weight settle gently in your thoughts, like mist falling on a quiet forum, guiding you toward calm. Scandal was a relentless foe. Excess or defiance risked shame, the air tense with the fear of exile and the murmur of peers. A couple faced whispers of impropriety, the air heavy with the scent of wine and the weight of caution. Offerings to Venus were a remedy oil or wine, the ear thick with the murmur of prayers and the scent of myrrh. The elite faced harsher stakes, their lapses mocked in satires, the air heavy with the scratch of quills and the fear of disgrace. War was a constant threat. Campaigns took lovers away, the air thick with the smell of leather or dust meant to arm soldiers. A pardoner prayed to Mars, the air heavy with the sharp scent of incense and the fear of loss. Illness lingered in cities, the air filled with the stench of decay and the hope of health. Water from aqueducts could carry filth, its taste bitter, the air damp with the risk of every sip. Wine was safer, but costly, the air tense with the effort of rationing. Societal scrutiny was a peril of its own. A couple's lapse gossip or boldness risked ostracism, the air heavy with the murmur of accusations in the bathhouse. A lover faced judgment for a public touch, the air tense with the scrutiny of kin and the weight of gossip. The elite faced public trials, their sins debated in courts, the air thick with the murmur of scribes and the scent of wax. The community was a lifeline, friends sharing wine or prayers, their voices a murmur, the air warm with the scent of oil and camaraderie. The city itself was a hazard, fires from lamps could flare, the air filling with smoke and cries. Yet resilience was the era's strength, a quiet defiance against a world of duty and fear. As we leave this world of peril, let's shift to the education and learning that shaped their understanding of love, offering a glimmer of knowledge in a complex life. Segment 9. Education and Learning. Knowledge in the city's light. Imagine sitting in a Greek stoa by lamplight, the year 400 BCE, where the air smells of papyrus and oil, and the faint strum of a lyre traces a lesson. Education for couples was practical, shaped by poetry and custom, yet it held a quiet power, a spark of understanding in a world of duty. For the elite, learning was richer, tied to philosophy. Picture the glow of a lamp, the weight of a scroll in calloused hands, and the murmur of a verse, their rhythm soothing like a gentle breeze. Let's explore this world of education, letting its faint light settle in your mind, guiding you toward rest. For citizens, education was structured. A younger partner learned poetry or rhetoric, guided by their lover, the air heavy with the scratch of a stylus and the scent of wax. Youths studied wrestling or music, their bodies guided, the air filled with the shout of trainers and the scent of oil. Knowledge was shaped by love verses taught loyalty, the air thick with the weight of custom and the murmur of study. Men memorized epics, their voices blending with peers, the air warm with the hum of Greek and the scent of myrrh. Learning was often oral. Couples memorized poems or laws, their voices blending in symposia, the air warm with the drone of verses and the scent of wine. Reading was common, writing rarer, reserved for scribes, the air heavy with the effort of listening. The elite read philosophy, their libraries a treasure, the air filled with the rustle of papyrus and the weight of learning. A lover learned etiquette, their gestures practiced, the air filled with the murmur of advice and the hope of honor. Knowledge was shared in gatherings. Tales of heroic lovers or divine bonds filled the air, their cadence soothing as couples listened, their hands resting from work. The air carried the scent of oil and wine, the stories of bond between friends, teaching duty or sparking reflection. Teachers shared rules, symposium codes, temple rites, the air filled with the drone of lessons and the scent of incense. These lessons were a bond, tying couples to their gods, the air filled with the rhythm of shared duty. Education faced challenges. Time was scarce, scrolls costly, the air heavy with the demands of labor or love. Yet knowledge was a shield. A verse learned could secure respect, the air warm with its power. As we leave this world of learning, let's shift to the leisure and entertainment that offered a moment of joy, a chance to rest in a life of love. Segment 10. Leisure and entertainment. The joys of ancient life. Picture yourself in an Egyptian garden at dusk, the year 200 BCE, where the air is warm with the scent of lotus, wine, and the sound of a flute drifts through the crowd. For couples, leisure was a cherished escape, a moment to find joy amid duty and scrutiny. These pastimes, music, feasts, and shared tales, were a flicker of light in a structured world. Imagine the glow of a lamp, the clatter of cups, and the soft murmur of a story, their warmth wrapping around you like a woven cloak. Let's wander through these moments, letting their joy settle over you, guiding you toward rest. Festivals were the heart of leisure, tied to the gods. The Dionysia brought plays and wine, the air rich with the scent of grapes and the chant of actors. Couples joined the crowd, their cloaks heavy, the air warm with the applause of kin and the glow of torches. The Osiris festival saw dances, the air alive with the beat of drums and the laughter of children. The elite hosted grand banquets, their tables laden, the air filled with the clink of silver and the scent of myrrh. Music was a constant joy, even in worship. A lover sang hymns, their voice blending with the wind, the air warm with its melody and the scent of oil. Couples played lyres in courtyards, their notes lightening the evening, the air filled with the strum of strings and the murmur of praise. Work could be leisure carving or reciting, the air heavy with the clink of chisels, or the scent of wax and the rhythm of shared tasks. Games were cherished. Men wrestled in gymnasia, the air filled with the shout of youths and the scent of dust. The elite played dice, the air heavy with the clack of bone and the scent of wine. Festivals brought spectacle chariot races or dances, the air rich with the smell of earth and the excitement of a crowd. Couples watched, their hands clasped, the air warm with the joy of a rare escape. Storytelling was beloved, done by lamplight. Tales of Aphrodite's love or mortal devotion filled the air, their cadence soothing as couples listened, their hands resting from labor. The air carried the scent of wine and myrrh, the stories of bond between friends, teaching love or sparking laughter. The symposium was a stage, with gossip about rivals shared in whispers, the air warm with intrigue. These moments were a bridge, connecting couples to their world, the air filled with the rhythm of shared lives. As we leave this world of joy, let's shift to a final reflection, tying together the threads of these lives. Conclusion. As the sounds of the city fade, the strum of lyres, the rustle of cloaks, the scent of wine and myrrh, let your mind rest in the quiet that follows. We've wandered through the lives of couples like Harmodius and Aristogeiton, from the rituals that guarded their love to the moments of joy that softened their duties, from the weight of scrutiny to the resilience that sustained them. Their world was one of devotion and restraint, shaped by God's community and the hum of the Agra, yet it was also one of endurance, where shared laughter and quiet vows offered strength. Imagine yourself now in a soft, warm bed, the air still and the pressures of their time far away, their loyalty a distant echo. Their lives, often hidden, remind us of the quiet victories that define love in the face of challenge. Let the details slip away, like embers fading in a brazier. The marble courtyards, the lamplit androns, the taste of figs and wine, they fade into the background, leaving only the peace of this moment. You've journeyed through a world that shaped civilizations, its couples' steady hearts and woven bonds, keeping its rhythm alive. Now it's time to rest, to let go of the city's hum and sink into calm. Close your eyes if you haven't already, and let the gentle rhythm of history lull you into sleep, safe in the stillness of now. In our world today, the lives of same-sex couples are shaped by a global patchwork of laws, rights, cultural attitudes, and personal freedoms that would have been unimaginable to those living in the bustling agora of Athens, the marbled courtyards of Rome, or the incense-laden temples of Egypt. In many countries, same-sex marriage is recognized. Couples can raise children openly, and public displays of affection are an accepted part of daily life. In others, same-sex relationships remain illegal or socially taboo, echoing the mixture of acceptance and restriction that ancient couples also navigated. Yet while our frameworks are legal and political, theirs were primarily social and ritualistic. In ancient Greece, for instance, a same-sex relationship was rarely understood through the modern lens of sexual orientation as an identity. Instead, it was often defined by age, citizenship, and social roles. Today, love is widely seen as a personal choice, rooted in individual identity and mutual consent. In antiquity, the emotional bond could be just as real, but the relationship's acceptability depended heavily on whether it conformed to cultural expectations. An older, established citizen mentoring and loving a younger male in Athens, or elite Roman men engaging with male partners while still expected to marry women for political alliances. In both cases, there was room for tenderness, but also a constant undercurrent of negotiation with societal rules. Modern couples can in many places craft their own domestic spaces without fear of reprisal, choosing where they live, how they decorate, and how openly they show affection. Ancient couples often shared physical spaces in ways that were concealed under the broader fabric of communal life. In Greece, the home, the oikos, was not a place for public romance, especially for men who had political obligations, and in Rome, much of elite social life was staged in semi-public settings like the triclinium or the bathhouse. Today, privacy can be actively chosen. In the ancient world, privacy was often a luxury that arose from architecture, wealth, or deliberate discretion. Modern urban apartments and suburban homes allow couples to close the door and live unseen. Ancient couples, especially among the lower classes, lived in shared courtyards, apartments above shops, or communal rooms where every cough, whisper, or laugh could be overheard by neighbors. Yet both worlds share the same quiet truth. Intimacy often thrives in small, ordinary acts, sharing a meal, helping each other prepare for the day, or exchanging a glance in a crowded place. The ways in which couples express love have also transformed dramatically. In our digital era, affection can be shown through constant communication, text messages, photographs, video calls that allow partners to remain connected even across continents. For an ancient couple separated by war, trade, or politics, communication relied on slow, tangible mediums. A letter scratched into wax and carried by hand, a carved dedication in stone, or a gift of wine or oil sent as a sign of care. Today's lovers might scroll through old conversations or look at photographs to feel close. Ancient lovers might hold a bronze mirror once used together, run their fingers over a worn cup from a shared meal, or recite a memorized verse. The technology has changed, but the impulse to bridge distance, to reassure, to preserve memory remains constant. In both worlds, objects can become talismans of intimacy, each carrying the weight of a moment, a touch, or a shared laugh.